Hi, welcome to You Can Do It. I'm your host, Chris, and in this episode, we're going to be installing 8 feet of cabinets, lower cabinets on this wall right here. We're using the product from Lowe's. It's called Diamond Now, and the actual addition is Arcadia. So these are 24-inch base cabinets. We're going to take 4 of them, and we're going to marry them together. We're going to level them up. We're going to show you how to do that. And we've got 2 door swings that we're going to change the opposite side of, and we'll show you how to change the doors as well. And we'll be installing some door hardware and getting them ready for a granite countertop. So stay tuned for this video if you can do it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to measure the actual toe kick here, the actual depth of the cabinet to the toe kick, which is it's about 20 and 3/8. So we've got the baseboard here that we're going to have to remove, but we don't want to remove all of this baseboard on this wall. We're going to cut it and scribe it so the cabinet just fits right in here. But we also have a toe kick that we'll be installing on the base of the cabinet here later, so we actually want to add for that too. So we'll be doing 20 3/8 and adding a 1/2 inch to that. So the cut's actually going to be out here. This is 20 3/8, and we're going to add a 1/2 inch to that and cut the baseboard so that the cabinet fits in this area nice and tight. Yeah. So 1/2 inch. We use a torpedo level to draw a nice straight line. That'll be our cut. All right, so the other thing you want to do is since they have a heavy coat of paint on here, and I can see that they caulked the trim, you want to take a knife and you want to carefully score your paint from the sheetrock, because if I cut this and pull this out, most likely I'm going to rip paint and the sheetrock paper off the wall. It just turns into a disaster. And it's just so you do a nice clean install. So we're going to go ahead and score this baseboard here all the way to where we're going to cut. We're going to stop right at the line. All right, so I'm using a fine tool here. I'm going to go ahead and turn it on. It's not so, you can adjust the speed on it just so it doesn't get too radical, just so we make a nice clean cut. I'm going to put it on 4. And get a pry bar and begin to carefully pull this off the wall. All right, I'm on the back wall here where we're going to be removing this baseboard. I'm at 8 foot. I'm not going to cut the baseboard at 8 foot right now. I'm going to come in about 3 inches and draw a line. We'll cut here and remove this portion of the baseboard, just so in case we got to move it here or there, we don't have a gap. So we're going to cut this exact, but we'll cut it when we install the last cabinet. So I've got this mark right here. This is just going to be a rough cut, but like I said, it's 3 inches shy of 8 foot. And then we'll go ahead and score this baseboard and pull it off.
We continued to score around that baseboard for easy removal.
So we're going to go ahead and remove this baseboard here. In order to do this without really destroying the sheetrock, I know the cabinet's going to cover it, but I don't like to do excessive damage here. So I got my pry bar. So this is, with this baseboard being tight to the wall, it's nailed, we're going to have to really dig in here. I got this metal blank. You can find this in the electrical aisle. It's a blank cover for a 4 square box, or you could just use anything that's fairly thick steel. I'm gonna stick this thing up in there, take my hammer, and just tap this, get it back behind it, and then use that to pry so I'm not destroying the sheetrock. So now that we have the baseboard out, we're gonna move on to bringing in the cabinets and installing the first cabinet in the corner. We set the first cabinet, it's not screwed down. We wanted to check and see where we're at with the toe kick down there. It looks like we're good. The 1/2 inch cut past the cabinet, so we can slide the toe kick in there. Wanted to see if the cabinet was gonna be level, just sitting on the floor. Unfortunately, it's not, and usually we very seldom do we have a cabinet set where it's perfectly level. So we have some shims, and we'll be setting a few shims in the cabinets in order to make them perfectly level across the wall.
Right now, we're bringing in all the cabinets just so we can kind of get a good idea of what needs to be done to level these up.
We brought the cabinets in. We just have them setting in here. They're not mounted. We wanted to just kind of see what the flow was going to look like. We got a long level on here. Just trying to figure out what's going on with the floor here. We put the level on the floor before we brought these in, but we wanted to see just how much shims are going to be required underneath the cabinet. So we got these shims here that we got from Lowe's. We bought 2 packets of these. They use them on doors, windows, and cabinets. So it's obvious this one over here, we're gonna have to shim it because the floor kind of dips a little bit into the wall, but it's not too drastic. It's manageable. So we're gonna go ahead and pull these out, and we'll begin with this first cabinet over here.
That first cabinet is your most critical. You use shims to level it front to back and side to side. That way, all the other cabinets butting up to that will become one continuous piece, nice and level, so that the granite will sit nice and firm on top of all cabinets.
I'm going to remove the doors from the cabinets so that we can screw the face frames together and bring them flush. So in order to do that, you got to get the cabinet doors off. Now these doors are reversible. They give you the option to have a left swing or a right swing, and the holes are already pre-drilled, so it's fairly easy to figure out where the door needs to go, whether you're going to go left or right. We're using a cabinet clamp. It's a Jorgensen wood clamp here. We're going to clamp the face frames together carefully. You don't want to have the metal too close to the cabinet face frame when you go to tighten it up, because it will mar it up. So we're using a JRK fastener. It's a 2.5 inch cabinet screw. It has like a pan head on it. It's not a bugle head. So it's almost like a big washer, and it has a Torx head on it. And so when these screws go in, they're not going to penetrate through the other side, but it's going to hold the face frames together. So we'll probably put 2 on one side and 1 on the other.
Now that the first two cabinets have actually been attached together, you just continue on. If you notice on the wall, Chris put a magnet so he knew where the studs were. So you not only screw those face frames to each other, but you make sure the cabinet itself is screwed to every single one of those studs in the wall so that you not only have a secure level cabinetry, but it is nice and solid, and that face frame is not the holding point for those cabinets. You definitely do not want the face frame becoming the holding point, or eventually it'll break and you'll have splits right in your finished face frame. So those studs need to be found in order to really secure this cabinet to this house. And again, Chris is taking care to pre-drill all of those holes. And then now we're just going around, and every shim that we needed, he's taking that fine tool and cutting it off so that we can prepare for the floorboard or baseboard that is going to go around the front of the cabinet. And again, we're turning the doors right now for the proper swing. The client wanted the first two sets to face each other and the second two sets to face each other. So it's just a matter of turning those and then readjusting them so that the doors all line up perfectly. And those Arcadia doors do have small adjustments on them so that you can adjust the door up and down, left to right. So right here, I have that Big Max laser. You see that going all the way across. It is directly in the middle of all those drawers. And then the handles themselves that I'm using, they have a 3-inch spread to them. So that's where that measuring came into place. And I measured a 3-inch spread from the center so that I could make sure that those handles were nice and level and equal spaced between that door. So right here, I'm just going and attaching those. And then of course, I'm going to move down to the doors with the exact same hardware that I used on those drawers. This just so happens to be the same hardware that the clients have in the remainder of their home so that it looks like a really nice flawless finish. All right, so these cabinets are ready for granite. They are nice and secure to the wall. Chris found every stud that he could possibly find and screwed these cabinets back to the wall. There's a few shims underneath here because the floor did a little bit of this, which is typical. And of course, they are plumb and they are level both left to right and front to back. And then I installed all of these cabinet drawer pulls. You saw that one video where I had the laser here so I could get a nice level line going straight across. And then of course I found center here, and the template showed that these were 3 inches off from each other. So I just divided the center and went 1.5 inches to the left, 1.5 inches to the right, did some pilot holes. You always want to do pilot holes and not just the actual drill bit that you're using, because it might wobble as it's drilling in and now you just marred up your finished surface. So I did pilot hole, then the actual drill bit, and then put the screw in and put those in. And then on this, I found center, which happened to be 1 1/8 inch. And I went down 5 inches here and then an extra 3 inches here. Made sure they were 1 1/8 inch. Typically, I don't put door handles this low. I actually put them somewhere up around here starting. But the rest of this kitchen has the exact same hardware in this location. So I wanted to make sure it matched and there was continuity across this entire kitchen. So that is why the placement of these door handles seems to be a little bit lower than normal. They're still in a good location. So the homeowner wanted these doors to open up like this. So that's why we had to flip-flop 2 doors. So those now open the way that she desired them to open. And then we will be installing a toe kick and the granite, and then this project will be finished. The final step, of course, with the cabinets is to put the baseboards in. Chris is just sliding that right into place. He also puts caulking right in between the 2 pieces at the 45-degree angle, so as he wipes that down, it's a nice, smooth, finished product, and then he finishes it off by caulking all of the baseboard.
The toe kicks have now been completed, and well, the cabinet install is done. Well, the granite guy, he came by a little bit ago. He measured for the granite countertops, and that'll be getting installed next week. So hopefully this video helped you out so that you can do it yourself. It's not really hard to do. Just, you know, having some shims and leveling it up, whatnot. If you have an unlevel floor, you're going to need shims. Well, the granite's installed, and the backsplash, they put a backsplash on it, and we changed out the switch banks to match the receptacles. Hopefully this job and this video helped you so that you can do it yourself. So stay tuned for our next video. Thank you for watching.